world continues to heal from yesterday's tragedy. News from mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, which has sadly left 19 children and 2 teachers deceased. Since news broke, many have given their thoughts and prayers, with the common theme being, when is enough enough? Comedian Hughley, who is never afraid to speak out against these kind of issues, tweeted, "When they announced that the 18-year-old shooter was dead, I knew he wasn't a white dude." Today we have our comedy hype analyst, Pierre, along with our new reoccurring CH analyst, Yamanika Sanders, to give their reactions to this tragic news. Pierre, I want to, just go ahead and start with you. When you heard, the news of this shooting, what was your first reaction and thoughts to it?
Well, like everybody, it's sad. It's very sad, especially with being children. I mean, anybody dies is terrible, but children, they have such a long life ahead of them. They're innocent. They didn't bring anything towards them, toward any energy negative towards them. They didn't stand up for something that people didn't like. So for kids to get killed is terrible. It's really tragic. But like I said, anybody getting killed is really tragic. And it's sad. It's sad. And, we can talk about some of the things that should be done and, but that was my first initial reaction. Was just sad. It's just, it's getting old. It's been getting old. It's not getting old. It's old a long time ago. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. Now, Yamanika, I do want to welcome you to the show. I had every intention to come here and clap it up for you and, just welcome you here because we are grateful to have you here today and just, moving forward. But I want to get your thoughts and reactions to this. When you heard the news break, what was your thoughts?
This stuff happens so much and we get shaken by it and then desensitized. So, the first thing that came to my head is we just experienced this tragic loss of so many lives in Buffalo, and how many of those children had heard about that news and had no idea that a week later they would not be here because of gun violence as well. I just think it's sickening that we are so comfortable seeing things like this happen and sort of grieving it and then moving on.
Absolutely, yeah, I definitely have to agree. Coming in today, this was definitely a heavy and tough topic. But I do want to dive into D.L. Hughley's tweet and kind of get you guys' thoughts on it as well. So again, D.L. Hughley tweeted, "When they announced that the 18-year-old shooter was dead, I knew he wasn't a white dude." And I think there are a lot of people that are chiming in on this. So Pierre, I want to get your reactions. What are your thoughts to, what we're hearing from D.L. Hughley amongst other people that feel like, because, once they heard that he was dead, they knew he wasn't white?
I talked to a friend of mine who's a policeman. He's actually worked for the Secret Service for the United States. And I asked him, I said, when you encounter somebody who has a gun, what is the first thing you have to do? What's your responsibility? He said, well, if they're not pointing a gun at me, then you have to tell them to put the weapon down. You have to make announcement, put the weapon down. And if they don't do that, then it's another recourse, especially if they turn the gun towards you, then it's what it is. You've made a command and it is what it is. So we don't know what I heard that the guy, Latino dude, he had a shootout with the cops. So what else did you expect? If you're going to shoot out with the cops, then it is what it is. Some people like to bring up the treatment of the white guy in Buffalo or Dylan Roof. Now the McDonald's thing, or taking them to get some chicken or whatever, that's ridiculous. But if a cop tells you to put your weapon down in a situation like that and you do it, your percentage of living is high, as we've seen. I mean, it is what it is. Now, if you turn that gun towards those cops, then it's going to be what it's going to be. If you resist them, their commands, you're going to have to take the result of whatever it is. And a lot of times it's going to be death if them cops have their guns on you. So them other 2 guys, I don't know how they resisted, and if they did at all, the guy in Buffalo and Dylan Ruth with the church. So, just on that point, I just say, it's your actions after the cops yell what they say to you.
Yamanika, I want to get you to chime in on this one. What are your thoughts of D.L. Hughley's tweets, saying that, if he knew once he heard that he was dead that he wasn't white?
I mean, it's obvious. We know that what cops will do for Black and brown people is always going to be different than white people. And then with all due respect to Pierre, there's always these conversations about protocol and why, when they don't kill white shooters, why they didn't do it. And they supply this protocol. And I guess this protocol now is, if you are not shooting a gun at them or pointing a gun at them, then there is no reason for them to shoot back or at you or kill you. But then we watch them do things. We watch them treat Black and brown people who are doing less We've watched them with Eric Gardner, who had no gun. We've watched them with Tamir Rice, who had no gun. We watch them kill Black people and brown people as they run away, shoot them in the back. So there's no justification. The only time there's any explanation for why something isn't done is when the shooter is white. In my opinion, once somebody is actively shooting, whether you've caught them in the act or not, and you know that they are the shooter and that there is lives that have been lost, especially to this degree, I don't know why you wouldn't come in with full force. I don't know why you wouldn't execute this person on site. So again, we have to look at the circumstances. We saw Buffalo, we saw what happened in Buffalo. Nobody, it's like we watched those cops walk that boy out of there like he did them a favor, because they don't respect Black people or our lives. We watch these young Latin children get murdered. If it wasn't for the fact that this guy was also Latin, they probably would have walked him out as well. We've watched churchgoers get murdered, and we've watched them walk them out. So at this point, to acknowledge whatever the cops are going to do or not going to do is not as important as what are we going to do about getting these guns out of crazy people's hands.
And I think that's the bigger issue. Now, I agree. Maybe the police needed to have a situation where if you're shooting, we automatically kill you. No matter who you are, we're going to just shoot you. If you have a gun in your hand, we automatically kill you. There's a guy named Larry Davis back in the 90s, or the late 80s, 90s. He shot some people up in New York. They walked him out. They got him in an apartment. They walked him out. They didn't murder him. Those two guys who shot in the Maryland snipers, they didn't murder them. So if the thing is you shoot somebody, we automatically kill you as the cops, then let's do that. Let's rock and roll. I'm okay with it. If you feel that's the need to say, hey, if we know you're shooting somebody and we approach you, regardless of saying don't put your hands down, just start shooting you. Just kill you right there. If that's the result we want, then yeah, I say change the protocol in the police force.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, and I'll say for me, there seems to be a difference in, the constraint of, an unarmed Black person or Black man, whether they're running away, hands up, literally saying, I'm not resisting, to, these mass shootings. And there just seems to be a big difference. And we don't see a lot of Black people involved in these mass shootings. But I do want to play a clip just to get your reactions, because I think, when it comes to that, there are different things. So I think taking a look at a clip and then coming to get you guys' reactions. So let's take a look at that clip.
We're getting our first look at the 12-year-old boy who cops say opened fire at deputies, along with a 14-year-old girl.
He looks like he could be in the principal's office for some silly prank at school. But this 12-year-old is in huge trouble with the law.
She's got the AK and the shotgun. She's wrapping it around the top of her neck.
Then came the stunning realization that they were being fired upon by children.
All right, let's not engage them anymore. Let's not challenge them. Just hold behind hard cover. We're just going to hang out here. Don't let me do this. Don't do this.
Now, Pierre, I want to get your reactions to that, because I think that video shows a couple things. It shows, in the beginning, like you said, saying, hey, put the gun down. But there's obviously a different tolerance or a constraint that they have, compared to a Tamir Rice who had a fake gun. But these are real children with guns. But you hear the cops saying, hey, let's not make this bad. Let's not shoot them. Let's not challenge them. What are your thoughts, your reactions when you see something like that?
Okay, then don't shoot nobody. I mean, what you want me to say? Then don't shoot anybody. If they're shooting, don't shoot anybody. Man, it's like I said, if they're shooting the grocery store, don't shoot nobody. Don't shoot the wait till he's finished shooting, and then you know what I'm saying. So either gonna shoot or we're not gonna shoot. What y'all want? You can't play the game here. So either we're gonna let everybody shoot out the place and don't touch nobody because they're Black, white, red, Chinese, don't touch nobody, or we're gonna kill everybody who has a gun in their hand. It's one or the other.
Yeah,
one or the other we're gonna do.
You don't understand, Pierre. I don't think you understand. We're not the ones making the distinction upon who needs to be shot and not shot. That's the decision that the cops are making. The cops are making a decision to see the children who are white and not respond.
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. But it has to be a protocol. You have to put we have to register. They get rid of those cops. You got to register one or the other. How do you want it to go down?
They're not applying. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, to go back and forth about what the cops are going to do and not going to do. Obviously, we know that there's racism in this country. Okay. We know that the cops are presenting as racist more times than not. Let's talk about the issue of why we have people who have access to guns. You and I could not just show up and get an AR-15, and we know that because we are Black. When we see certain people who are able to go get these weapons at the age of 14 or 16, you know, with no background checks. What in the hell does somebody need an AR-15 for?
Okay. Now, first of all,
for any circumstance.
Okay, let me explain. I'm a gun owner. I have a license in Maryland and in Georgia. I go to the range and I go in it. Black people have AR-40s. Okay, let's not be it. Black people do own those guns, and I'm happy that they own.
We don't own them as much, and you know that.
Okay, okay. I don't know the number. I you said we didn't own them, so I'm going with the don't own. So I'm happy to see a lot more Black people with guns and going to classes and getting their license. It's a great thing because it's time to protect ourselves. So I see a lot of brothers and sisters getting their gun license and getting those guns. So the access is both ways. I'm just being honest with you. I'm telling you what I see, not what I want it to be. It is going both ways. But yeah, I think if the onus is on the cops. I get what you're saying. Sure, there's racist cops. They need to get the hell out of there. But what do? Do we take them all back to class or school and get their minds right, the cops right? That's fine. I can do that because it is. I agree. It does seem that they're shooting more Blacks than whites in certain situations. But what do we do to stop it? What is the solution? Not just to talk about it, but what's the solution? Do we make those cops go back to school and learn sensitivity more? I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that because I'm tired of seeing the same shit.
Yeah, Monique, I want to give you a chance to chime in on this and just to hear your thoughts. You know, after seeing that video, and I know just some of the things that you've also talked about within that, what are your thoughts or reactions, you know, in that moment?
What I think is consistent with what happens in America, especially when it comes to people of color and how our lives are so overlooked, so unvalued, is that it's a waste of time for us to talk about what the cops are going to do and not going to do. What we need to talk about is why people have access to guns. And I think it's all well and good when we have people who are fully capable in their mind, who have guns for recreational reasons, and they are apt in their mind. The problem is that more people with mental problems get access to guns. And I would rather give up the hobby of having guns and going to ranges if it means we have less access for people who are mentally deranged to get access to guns, to take away lives of people who have futures. When we talk about this young shooter, we talk about him in the way of, oh, he was bullied, right? This is the first thing they run to, this kind of stuff. He was bullied. And I'm not saying he should have exacted revenge on the people who bullied him, but he then went and bullied worse than he ever got bullied by taking the lives of innocent children who he has no interaction with. When we talk about the boy that went to Buffalo and murdered people who had families, who had wisdom and legacy and lives and affected in church communities and were good citizens, they talk about, well, his brain wasn't fully developed. Then why did he have access to a gun? In New York, we can't have guns, but more gun violence happens in New York where you can't legally own a gun. So what's going on? There needs to be a conversation about legislature, about safety, about why people are getting shot on subways, why so many people with bad intentions have access to guns. Because as a citizen in this country, not only do I not feel safe being a woman, being a Black person, doubling down being a woman and Black, which is a target on my head. We need to talk about that. I don't feel safe in this country, and I feel bad that children cannot go to school and just learn. Going to school was one of my favorite things to do. I don't know if I would feel that way if I was a student right now. I'd be very afraid to go to school.
Absolutely. All right. Let me chime in from a gun owner, and for those in the comments who gun owners. I heard what you said, Yamanik. You'd rather get rid of the guns so if the mental people can get them. All right. First of all, that's not ever going to happen. America's based around gun ownership. It's just not going to happen. Okay, it's just not going to happen. If we got rid of all the guns, then the police couldn't have no guns. The army couldn't have no guns. If we got rid of all the guns.
I didn't say that. That's extreme. I did not say that the police could not have guns.
Okay. So who? Okay, let's say the citizens though. Okay, if the citizens you think say we all can't have guns, trust me. The same way these bad people are getting guns, they'll continue to get those guns. Guns are made all the time. They're not going to just give a cop one gun and say you got to keep that for 20 years. We're not making more guns. They're always going to make guns. And if they're always making guns, then people who are lawful people who can't have a gun, the bad people are always going to get guns. It is what like drugs. Cocaine is illegal, but cocaine keeps getting in this country and keeps happening. So people are going to do what they want to do. So if they don't get guns, why should I be a victim and hope this man, when he comes to shoot me, a bad guy who got a gun, because we can't never stop people getting guns in their hands. Why do I got to cower down in the corner and pray to God that please don't shoot me, sir, don't shoot me, sir, instead of raising my weapon and saying, no, sir, I'm gonna get a chance of trying to survive the situation.
Well, how many times have you had a situation where you were in a shootout in a grocery store and you were able to help other people? What I'm saying is I hear this, it's not going to be good either way. And I just want to say also, it's this extremist conversation that we have when we talk about wanting to have protection for citizens. And then we get people who own guns who have this narrative that, well, the government is doing this and we're not being protected here. And some of those things are fallacies, especially for the people who mostly speak about them. White citizens who have access to guns freely speak about their freedoms being taken away from them, and they're not the targets of the people that usually get murdered in situations like this. I also want to reference the fact that while this country was founded on guns, it also was founded on slavery, and we ended that. So it's a conversation. Do I have the answers right now? Absolutely not. But I know one thing, I don't feel good today. I didn't feel good last week. And I'm tired of going outside being nervous about hopefully there's going to be a good person next to me when there's a bad person that decides to come in and try to take my life.
Well, I won't be nervous with my gun on, because if someone comes to me with a bad person comes to me, then I have my weapon to do what I need to do. What I think what needs to be done is mental health needs to be checked. People need to be checked who get guns. You know, if someone's a decent citizen and can want to save their family or protect their family, their home with a gun, I have no problem with that. It's the nutcases who get guns. Like I don't want them to outlaw alcohol because people get drunk and drunk drivers and drunk and hit stuff and kill people. I don't want people to outlaw cars because people take cars and run into people and so forth. So I think to take stuff away, I'm not 100% sure about that one. I think the people who get them should be mentally evaluated before they get guns.
Well, I think it's also part of our own personal biases too, because you're a gun owner, so you're passionate about it. I'm not. I don't want a gun around me. But also, I guess I'm a gamer. So if people decided they didn't want to play GTA anymore, I'd probably have a problem because I am somebody that plays GTA. But I have common sense enough to know that when they reference GTA and that shootout with those young kids, I can absolutely see how this is damaging society. And I would rather lose GTA and kids having access to games like that as a gamer, instead of having them have access to that and constantly lose their mind or live in some uncertain realm of reality that causes them to think that at 14 or whatever age they can have a shootout with the police.
Well, I definitely appreciate, you two kind of went right into solutions. So I appreciate offering some of those. You know, one of the things that I've been challenging myself as well as my friends is to do research, right? Because there are situations where we've tried to pass putting, there needs to be something in place before a person can purchase a gun, like a background check, but that hasn't been passed. So I think, what I would push for people as we're trying to figure out solutions as citizens, because like you said, Yamanika, I don't feel safe. I have nephews, I have goddaughters, I have family, and sometimes we can be so desensitized because we see this so much and because maybe it's not as close to us, but I guarantee this is getting closer and closer by the day. So I appreciate you all for offering, not only just your thoughts, but solutions to this. And I would really challenge our viewers and our people to really do the research, because like Pierre said, I think there's gonna always be people that have access to guns. So there needs to be something in place. And I really hope, President Biden talks about he's going to turn this pain into action. And I really hope there's some real action that is put in place as we move forward, because it's getting tiring. I'm tired of it.
Well, simply one quick question. I think two things should be looked into besides mental health before you get a gun. But if you have a gun and you commit a crime, you live in a home, the parents should be responsible to a certain extent. They need to be responsible to a certain extent. I don't care if they get jail time in the weekends for the next year, every weekend, whatever it is, because parents need to go in these kids' rooms and seeing what they're doing on social media. And social media platforms need to be some responsibility too. If they're out there talking about, I hate niggas, I hate white, I hate this, I hate that, I want to kill you. If they see that, then we need to throw some alarms on that, because if I say something about the LGBTQ group negatively, or if I say something about a breast, a titty online, or ass cheek online, I get reprimanded on social media. Hey, we don't have this on here. We don't quickly. So if they're out there speaking reckless, because a lot of times you go back and look at their posts and they spoken reckless, social media people should be, companies should be responsible to a certain extent, to letting that stuff be out there and linger and not following up on it.
Yamanika, I want to throw it to you. Are there any other solutions you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think number one, and the people that sold the guns, because not all of these guns are in these mass shootings have been acquired illegally. Some of them have been purchased outright. I think the second solution is, which I'm going to follow up. I'm just going to spend more time with Pierre since he got a gun, and then
there you go. That's two of them. I got two.
You know, yeah. Well, then I'm gonna stand right behind you. That's my solution, quick solution for me. So get you a Pierre in your life, and you'll be fine.
We'll have a better chance. We'll have a better chance, girl. That's all I'm saying. If someone comes with a gun, we have a better chance to come at us with a gun.
I definitely appreciate both of you for chiming in on this one. I know it's a tough topic, so Yamanika, thank you for that, and Pierre, thank you as well. But you know, you heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the solutions that need to happen as we continue to see more and more of these shootings and tragedies happen in our country? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
You know where they go, in them comments.